Our movie starts with Dre while he's traveling with his mom to China because she got transferred to her job branch in China, and he leaves his friends and neighbors and heads to the airport after his friend give him a skateboard as a gift so he can play with it. And Dre arrives with Sherry, his mom, in China, and they see on their way to their home the Olympic Village, where everything related to sport happens. And they arrive at their apartment, and they meet the lady who will give them the apartment, and she tells them if they need anything, they should talk to Mr. Han because his English is good. After they enter their apartment, Sherry looks at the floor and sees that Dre took off his jacket and threw it on the ground like he's used to. So, as usual, she tells him to pick up the jacket from the floor and try to stop doing that. And his mom asks him to go down and look for Mr. Han to fix the hot water they have. So he goes down looking for him until he finds him and says they're the residents of apartment number 305 and need help fixing the water. But he finds Han eating noodles, and they agree he'll come another time. Dre moves to the garden and meets his friend Harry and plays basketball with him. After that, he tries to play ping pong with an old man and thinks the man doesn't know how to play and that he can beat him, but the man turns out to be a ping pong pro and keeps beating him, and Dre can't even score 1 point. And the whole time, Dre is watching a girl sitting and practicing the violin in the middle of the garden. So he decides to try and talk to her and get to know her, until another boy shows up, and it looks like he's related to the girl Dre likes. And he asks her why she's not practicing and talking to another boy. Then they argue, and the boy grabs her sheet music and throws it on the ground. So Dre tries to step in, but the boy hits him and knocks him to the ground. And Dre gets up again and tries to hit him, but Dre is the one getting hit hard and can't even touch him, and he keeps getting beat up until he can't stand on his feet. Then they leave him and walk away, and Dre barely gets up from the ground and goes back to his apartment and lies down until he enters his room. It's clear that he's in pain, and he closes his room door before his mom sees him. Then the next day comes, and it's Dre's first day at school, and he tries to hide the bruise on his eye, so he puts on makeup from his mom's stuff and wears a cap on his head so Sherry doesn't notice. He arrives at school, and the principal is waiting for them to welcome them, and she tells Dre that wearing a cap is not allowed in school. So Sherry takes it off his head and sees he's wearing makeup to hide a bruise under his eye, and she realizes he got into a fight with someone. She keeps asking him who he fought with so she can report him to his parents, but he insists that he hit a metal pole by accident and hides it from her because he knows she'd freak out. Dre enters school and finds the girl he likes with him, and she comes to greet him and tells him her name is May, and she chats with him. So he asks about the relationship between them, and she tells him they're not relatives, but their parents are very close and have known each other since their childhood. Then she leaves to continue her violin practice. While Dre is looking at her, he sees Chung come up next to him and spill his food all over his clothes. And before Dre grabs him again, the principal comes between them and stops the fight until the first school day ends and Dre goes back home and tries to learn karate through the TV so maybe he can hit Chung. And then he finds Mr. Han knocking on his apartment door to come in and fix the hot water. And he sees Dre training the wrong way. Then his mom comes in and finds he threw his jacket on the floor like always and fights with him because she told him more than 1,000,000 times to pick up the jacket from the floor and hang it. So he picks it up and hangs it. And he finds Han watching him. Then Dre goes to school and sees Chung and his friends in front of him. So he tries to avoid him because he's scared of getting beat up again. Until he reaches the music room where May is practicing playing. And her coach is telling her that she needs to practice on holidays too to improve her level, and that he'll talk to her parents about extra practice. After the coach leaves the hall, Dre goes and tells her playing is beautiful and asks why she's training. So she tells him she has an audition to get into Beijing Academy of Music. Then he leaves her and walks out of the hall and finds Chung in his face, who pushes him down to the ground. And Dre says he tries to avoid him so what happened last time doesn't happen again. And he leaves and walks away. After he goes home, he goes for a walk with his mom and finds a kung fu school on the way. So he decides to go in and check out the training because he wants to learn any fighting style so he can stand up to Chung. And he finds a group training in front of him, and their motto is no weakness, no pain, no mercy for the opponent. And before he enters to talk to the coach, he finds that Chung is one of the students in the group. So he changes his mind and leaves the school. He stands in front of Han's room, and Sherry tries to understand from Dre what's bothering him. So he tells her he hates this place and wants to go back to his friends because this is not their place. So she tells him they don't have a place anymore except here, and it's something out of her hands, and they have to stay here together. Then they both go up to their apartment, and Han is listening to them while they're talking. Then the next day comes, and Dre goes on a school trip to the Forbidden City, which got its name because the emperor long ago used to forbid anyone from entering it, and that's where the name came from. But after his death, it became a historic place for visitors. And Chung keeps trying to bother Dre during the trip until they get back to school. Then Dre decides to get revenge on them. So he sneaks close and throws water mixed with oil on them and runs away. And they all chase him, and he keeps trying to escape from them until he reaches the back gate of his building, but finds it locked so he can't run away. And Chung and his friends catch him and keep beating him, and Chung refuses to have mercy. And before Chung hits him with all his power in the face, he finds Han in front of him grabbing Chang's hand before it touches Dre, and he tells them all to go home because they've done enough. Then Han helps Dre stand up, but Chung tries to hit Han himself, but Han dodges it easily. Then his friends try to hit Han too, but he makes them hit each other by mistake. All he does is block their moves and doesn't hit any of them. And Dre is watching what's happening while he's lying on the ground in pain, until Han knocks them all to the ground and carries Dre to his room to treat him with his fire cups. As soon as Han finishes, Dre finds that he's not feeling any pain in his body and that the fire cups calmed his pain. And Dre asks him how he made them hit each other like that. And he asks him if he can train him in Kung Fu so he can hit Chung. But Han tells him that Kung Fu is an art of knowledge and defense, not for war and fighting. But Dre explains to him that this isn't how they're learning it, and their coach's motto is that there's no mercy for the opponent, and that's wrong. So Han wakes up to the idea that he should go talk to their coach. But Dre is scared to go alone because if he goes, he'll get beat up again, so he asks Han to come with him. Han refuses at first, but after thinking, he agrees to go with Dre to Chang's Kung Fu school to explain to the coach the principle he's supposed to teach his students. And as soon as they enter, they find the coach Lee hitting a kid because he didn't want to hit his teammate more after beating him. And he tells them no one gets up after the opponent falls to the ground, and they must make him feel pain and suffering, and if they can kill him, they shouldn't hesitate. Then he looks behind him and finds Han standing there, and Chung tells him this is the guy who beat them up. And Han came to ask the coach to not let them mess with Dre again, and that 6 against 1 is unfair. So he offers that only Chung will fight Dre in a one-on-one match. But Han refuses and says he didn't come to fight and turns to leave. Bully tells him he hit his students and insulted his school, and he has to pay for that. But Han says that Dre won't fight anyone now, and that they'll meet in the open Kung Fu tournament. At that moment, Lee lets him go and tells him that if they don't meet in the tournament, his students won't spare Dre. Then he orders all of them not to go near Dre until the time of the tournament. And Dre leaves the school, and Han tells him he's got 2 pieces of news. The good news is Chung won't bother him again. And the bad news is he'll join the Kung Fu tournament and face all of them in separate matches. And that Han plans to teach him real Kung Fu. Then Han comes to him the next day to start training. And the first thing Dre does is take off his jacket and throw it on the ground and tells Han that he's ready to train, that he's super fast and can learn anything, and that he knows a bit about Kung Fu that might help. But Han doesn't care about what he's saying and tells him to go bring his jacket and hang it in front of him. Then he tells him to take it down and wear it. Then take it off and throw it on the ground, and so on. And he keeps doing that all day. After the first day, Dre comes back feeling frustrated that he didn't learn anything. But he goes and hangs up his jacket in front of him, and his mom notices that for the first time, he hangs his jacket by himself. And he keeps doing that for days, continuing his training with Mr. Han, until his mom passes by to take him to the festival that's happening in the city. And she brings an extra ticket for Han to come with them, and tells him she won't accept him refusing. So they all head to the festival, and Mei is at the festival and meets Dre, and he makes her promise to attend his tournament matches, and he'll attend her audition in return, and they agree on that. Dre goes the next day to Han's house where he's fixing his car to continue his training. He enters without asking for permission, so Han tells him he didn't give him permission to enter his house and makes him ask first. Then he goes in to continue his jacket training until Dre's patience runs out, and he tells him he learned the lesson, that he hung the jacket over 1,000 times and he's done with it now and wants to train real Kung Fu. He grabs his jacket and is about to leave the house, but Han stops him and asks him to stand in front of him. Then he takes the jacket from him and tells him to hold it in his hand and wear it. And he starts teaching him that the movement of wearing and taking off the jacket moves his whole arm. And that's what he needs in Kung Fu. His hand movement has to be strong and steady. And he starts training him on how to move his legs. Then he asks him to grab his jacket from the ground. And at the same time, Han lifts his leg to hit him with it. But since Dre was bending down, he dodged the hit. And Dre realizes that all this time, he was learning basic moves without knowing it, and that Han taught them to him in a simple way through a daily routine, and that Kung Fu exists in everything in their day, but the one who uses it right knows its true value. Then Han takes him to the place where he trained Kung Fu with his father, and they travel together until they arrive. And he tells Dre they'll go to the top of the mountain and drink from the dragon well. They begin their journey up the mountain until they reach the top. And Dre sees a woman moving in front of a cobra snake without it biting her. and she's focused on its eyes and looking into them while moving. Then Dre keeps walking until he reaches the dragon well and drinks from it. And he asks how the woman was able to control the snake in front of her and imitate it. Han tells him that the snake was the one imitating the woman because she controlled it with her mental power. Then Han starts training him in the place where he trained as a kid, and they return back home. But the snake thing keeps bothering Dre's mind because he wants to control a snake like that too. And Han continues training Dre in every way possible and trains him in every place they go to until Han tells him to take tomorrow off from training because overtraining is harmful. So the next day, Dre goes to school and finds out that May's audition is the day after tomorrow. And May is standing there scared that she'll fail. So he tells her to take today off so she can focus on her audition because overtraining is harmful, just like Han said. And they both ditch school and spend the day together having fun until she gets a call from her dad telling her that her audition time got moved up to half an hour from now and that he'll come pick her up from where she is to take her back to her school quickly. So May goes with her dad to school, and Dre runs to her to cheer her on like he promised, and he attends her performance. After it ends, May's dad tells her not to talk to Dre again and to go tell him they can't be friends. She does what her dad says, even though she doesn't want to. Dre gets upset about what happened, so instead of going home, he goes to Han and finds him drunk for the first time, smashing the car he's been fixing all this time. Dre tries to stop him and calm him down, and he sees on the car a note about a car accident where a mother and child died. And he realizes that this was Han's family, the ones he lost in that car accident, the car he's smashing now. Han tells him that on this day, he was with his family in the car on a steep road, and the rain was super heavy, and he got into a fight with his wife to the point that his anger made him lose control of the car. And the accident happened, and his family died. And every year he fixes the car, and on the day of the accident, he smashes it again out of guilt and keeps crying for their loss. Then Dre goes and gets the stick Han trains him with and gives it to Han and takes him outside the car. And the next day, they go together to the Great Wall of China for Dre to train. And it's clear that Dre's level in Kung Fu has improved a lot. But May is still scared to talk to him because her dad might punish her, especially since he now picks her up every day from school. So she doesn't get a chance to talk to Dre again. One day, Dre goes to the tournament arena, and Mr. Han tells him that winning or losing doesn't matter. What matters is earning the respect of the people there. That way, no one will mess with him again. He gives Dre a competition uniform as a gift, and Dre thanks him and says he's the best friend he's ever had. They hug, and Dre asks Han to help him with the speech he wants to say to Mei Ying's father, hoping he'll let her come watch the tournament. Dre goes to Mei Ying's house and meets her dad. After memorizing the speech Han wrote for him, he tells Mei Ying's dad, with Mei Ying standing beside him, that she's his best friend, and he promises to be a better friend if he allows her come. Her dad agrees. The day of the tournament arrives, and Han doesn't know the rules, so Dre explains that he just needs to land 2 hits to win a match. That's all. The tournament starts, but Dre avoids his opponent and steps outside the ring. The referee warns him that stepping out again will cost him a point. Dre focuses and manages to win his first match. As the tournament goes on, it becomes clear that Cheng's fighting style is aggressive. He aims to hurt his opponents before beating them, because that's how his cruel coach trained him. Dre makes it to the quarterfinals and faces another fighter from Cheng's team, but he defeats him and advances to the semifinals. Mei Ying, her family, and Dre's friend Sherry are all there cheering him on. Han tells Dre that in the semifinals, he'll need 3 points to win. Cheng wins his semifinal match and moves to the final. Dre's opponent is also from Cheng's team. Cheng tells him to break Dre's leg, so he'll be crushed and can't continue. The fighter doesn't follow orders at first, but then attacks Dre's leg hard, injuring him. Because of the illegal move, he gets disqualified and Dre moves to the final. Dre is taken to the medical room. His leg is barely holding up and the doctor says he shouldn't continue. But Dre begs Han to do the fire cupping so he can at least stand. He promises to fight through the pain. Han asks why he still wants to fight when he already proved his point. Dre says he's still scared of Cheng and he has to face that fear or he'll be broken forever. Han agrees and performs the fire cupping, which helps numb the pain temporarily. Dre returns limping to the ring, and Cheng thought the match was over and that he'd win by default. But Dre shows up and the final match begins. Dre does everything he can to avoid Cheng's hits. At one point, Cheng throws him out of the ring and scores a point. Dre quickly comes back and scores one himself. Then he takes the lead 2-1. Cheng's coach tells him to break Dre's leg completely so he can't stand anymore. Cheng starts targeting Dre's leg legally. Dre is in serious pain and the score is now 2-2. 1 point left to win the championship. Barely able to stand, Dre imitates the cobra move he saw on the mountain. He balances on one leg, staring at Chung, just like the woman and the cobra did. Chung charges at him, but Dre predicts the move, dodges, and counters with a clean hit, scoring the final point. Dre wins the tournament. The crowd erupts in cheers. Chung, surprisingly, picks up the trophy and hands it to Dre himself out of respect. But his coach, Master Lee, is furious and tries to hit him for losing. Before he can, Han grabs his hand and stops him. Lee, enraged, tries to fight Han in front of everyone. Han dodges his attacks and even saves a kid from getting hurt during the chaos. Lee throws a chair, but Han catches it before it hits anyone and pins him to the ground. Han lets it get up so he won't embarrass him in front of his students, but Lee keeps fighting. Han takes him down again, repeating Lee's own toxic words, "No mercy, destroy your enemy." Dre steps in and tells Lee that Han didn't hurt him more than necessary. All of Lee's students come forward and bow to Han, showing him respect. Dre won the championship, all thanks to the training from his master, Mr. Han. And that's how the movie ends. See you in the next recap. If you're vibing with the video, make sure to slam that like and spill your opinions and comments. I'm hyped to read them. And yo, gotta subscribe so you catch all the straight fire recaps coming soon.